Hey kids, comics. Silver-haired Bronze Age babe here, yakking about our comic collection, and today doing a live dive. It is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States, which means it's cocktail hour. Join me, won't you? First of all, Magic Lasso. Well, hello, thank you for joining me. I am fine, thank you. I'm excited as well. This is this probably isn't going to be that long. And the reason I decided to hop on a live stream that you can either watch now or later is because I had something I wanted to talk about relative to Lois Lane, but I wanted it seemed too long to do in my normal videos. So I just thought, wait a minute, why don't I do it at 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon with a beer in my hand? And we'll do it that way. So that's what this is about. Tartan just got back from dollar bin diving, literally. Well, thank you for hopping out of the pool, drying off and joining me here. I appreciate it. And Luxinda Swirl is here. Hello, Luxinda. I'm glad you're here, Luxinda, because it reminds me that before I start what I'm going to yammer about, I wanted to mention something about Luxinda. Hello, Ranger Sly. Thanks for joining us. How fun. Luxinda, you'll recall, does these marvelous mugs and thermoses and artwork. This is my Batman one. You can't have it. It's mine. Now, you may remember that a couple weeks back, my friend Rob and I were doing a live dive, and we got to talking about Swamp Thing. And Rob pointed out how the art, the Bernie Wrightson art on Swamp Thing, might lend itself to the kind of work that Luxinda is doing. And indeed, last evening, during another Zoom chat that Luxinda and I were participating, we had a lot of cocktails. We have a lot of cocktails, Luxinda and I. So last evening during cocktail hour, she showed me a absolutely beautiful Swamp Thing mug that she is working on. It is in process, and it is amazing. And so I would encourage you all to just keep an eye on her YouTube page and channel, because when she shows that off, you're going to be amazed. And if no one buys it from her, I'm going to, because it's great. So there you go. So the reason for this little exercise is because Lois Lane has been on the brain. And the reason Lois Lane has been on the brain is because I pre-ordered the trade paperback of the Lois Lane series, the individual books, some of which you see behind me, Enemy of the People. The book will come out at the end of November. But of course, it's Lois Lane, so I hit the little pre-order button. So I'm all set to go. But here's the thing. The reviews that I have seen of this story arc are mixed at best. And I think most kind of leaning towards the negative, and which is fine. You know, I can get that. And I actually agree with some of the folks who complain that the plot gets a little muddied. Totally get it. But no one that I've seen or read has mentioned kind of the thematic underpinnings of what I think is going on with the story. And so I want to talk about it. So I'm going to spoil it big time. Not quite yet, though. So stay with me. But if you, I will spoil it in a very general way at the end of this little chitty chat. So that's why I'm here in the first place. And, you know, to talk about Lois Lane is to talk about my favorite attributes of her, which are, she's determined and she's creative and she is one brave gal. She's smart and she's incredibly compassionate. She is always, oftentimes trying to help other people. Now, this is not to say that she isn't also portrayed as a lovesick, jealous schoolgirl sometimes. I get that. Which brings me to a really bad connector piece here too. An A-OK that I got in the mail earlier this week. The classic comic collector, Scott Harris King, just sent me a package. And I opened it up and, Werewolf by lunchtime. Good morning, we should say to you. 5:30 in the morning or something down in Oz. I mean, you are a werewolf among men. Thank you for joining us. So my A-OK from Scott. I've already put it in a frame. It is already going to have a special place in my comic corner. Take a gander at that. That is Action Comics number, is that 206? This is from 1955. Oh, this is the only Golden Age book I have. And it's Lois Lane in a wedding dress. And as you know, I love Lois Lane in a wedding dress. So I cannot thank Scott enough. I am touched beyond belief about this. It will be a treasured piece of my collection forever, not only because of what the cover is, the story is very sweet, but that somebody I met online here, out of the kindness of their heart, sent me this amazing book. And so, oh my gosh. And there's the Gray Man. How are you, Gray Man? Thank you so much for joining us. So, and I'm glad that all y'all aren't afraid of spoilers. We'll get there in a minute. So anyway, another shout out to Scott Harris King for an A-OK that just brought a tear to little SHBAB's eye. And just for fun, remember this one, this classic cover. I mean, what do you think? I mean, that just is, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, yay me. So that starts us out on Lois. Now, what I want to do before I spoil Enemy of the People is I want to talk a little bit about Lois Lane books wherein she's doing the kind of journalism that is found in that story. I'm sorry, I'm looking at at Tartan calling out Scott as a great guy. He is. He really is. And he's got a great channel and he's got really interesting stuff. He's got a great collection of wonderful things to say about him. So check him out if you haven't. So, okay. So Lois Lane and her journalism and taking on issues of the day. Some of the complaints that I read about the Enemy of the People is like, oh, it's ripped from the headlines and it's also politically correct. And, you know, I guess I can appreciate to a degree that sentiment, but I don't think it fits in with Lois Lane over the decades. And I'll tell you why. This is Lois Lane from October of 1963. It's not the cover story, but the first story in this book is where she and Lana Lang team up to try and eliminate the death penalty. And within the story, they talk about how circumstantial evidence is sometimes can be enough to convict an innocent person. Lois actually describes the death penalty as a barbaric custom. So there is definitely a point of view coming through. and in 1963. So you can't say that Lois Lane books aren't talking about some relevant issues, because it did. Now, the only thing I'll say is that the relevant story issues never made the covers. But hey, it's in the book. Also from 63, I love this book. This is the Schaffenberger cover. This is number 45 from 1963. Silly story in the beginning, but the Lois Lane is doing her thing story is wherein she breaks up a money laundering scheme and ends up in Monaco. And there's actually a cameo by Princess Grace and Prince Rainier of Monaco. And they point out that, I remember when she was the actress Grace Kelly, and then she went and she married a prince. So before Meghan Markle, there was Grace Kelly. Tartan, what's the issue number on the death penalty? That is number 44. I always thought it was really interesting that they had that. It's the first story in this book. It would have been an interesting cover story, I thought, particularly the splash page of this. And I'll let you get this book and enjoy it. But as always, they have a Lana Lang love triangle story, ready to go to take the cover. So, Monaco, breaking up a money laundering scheme. This is number 47 from 1964. And she joins the Peace Corps to thwart a jewel heist. So there you go. This is 1964 also. This is one of my all-time favorite Kurt Schaffenberger covers. Again, it has nothing to do with the story that I'm pointing out, but how great is this? I think it's just beautiful. Plus, guess what? Purple. I love it. Purple. Yes, we need a Lois. Well, and actually, they team up here because it's like, okay, what you need is a girl in a turban to really get those two to work together. But I mean, just look at how Schaffenberger does their faces and their eyebrows. I love it. I absolutely love it. The story in question is where she goes undercover. Lois goes undercover because there's a mafia group that is swindling rich widowed women and preying upon them. And so again, the compassion of Lois Lane comes through. Was she bald? I don't remember. Love the covers. I'm telling you, listen, you can't beat Schaffenberger. I love the era for Lois Lane, and he was just doing it like nobody else could do. Lois Lane. Drink to Kurt. This is from 1965. Again, the story I'm talking about doesn't make the cover. Why would you when you've got a secret wife and why won't you marry me kind of story going on? But the story that I'm thinking about in this one where she goes undercover again against the mob, the mafia, a journalist who puts herself in harm's way. I don't remember who Superman's secret wife is. Does anybody? 1965. I've talked about this before, but the costumes that she had access to in these stories, it's like Bob Mackie doing the stuff for the Carol Burnett show back in the day. Whatever you want, we can dress you for it. And the other thing I'll just say about Schaffenberger and Superman, I've said it before in my videos, but I think Schaffenberger was just having a laugh at Cal's expense. His neck's a little too thick and his hair's a little too short. You know, he gives the edge of the relationship, I think, to Lois, always. But again, the story where Lois is saving the world, here she's going after a spiritualist, a fake one, who is, not only committing fraud, but a kind of running point on a larger crime syndicate. So she's doing that too. Okay, werewolf. Kurt Swan for you. But for Lois Lane, you don't want Kurt Swan doing Lois Lane, do you? Kurt Swan for Superman, yay. For Lois Lane, oi. Rod, just to recon in his comments, you are so nice to keep showing up on these things. Thank you so much. I've said it before, and I will say it again, that if it weren't for Rod giving this channel a little boost, we would not be sitting here having a cold one together. Because without anyone following me, I would just be doing this by myself, and who wants to do that? So, Kurt Swan for everyone. Ranger Sly, usually Ranger Sly and I are on the same page, but this time, maybe not so much. Okay, we're zipping ahead to 1971 right now in this book. I was thinking about doing a separate video on this one, but I'm just going to talk you through it. It's anti-drug abuse. It's about drugs. Basically it's the DC Comics getting real, with the things going on in society at the time, and drugs are bad. So that's why Superman and Lois Lane are basically stoned, and they're flying around. It's like, oh my God, the world's upside down. Now, it's written by Bob Kanigher. So for those of you who know Robert Kanigher's work, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. There's intention is good, but the application of that is often there's some potholes along the way. Basically, he really traffics in really awful stereotypes throughout these kinds of stories. I had to write it down. I see I have notes on the back here. He talks about militants aren't marching today. It's quiet. The crime is quiet in Metropolis, so it leaves Superman and Lois able to have this other adventure because there's no other bad stuff going around, because the militants, rather than criming, are giving milk to slum children. He refers to them as slum children. Okay. So basically, Cal and Lois race to the future where a drug lord is kind of enslaving other folks. And Superman, not only, he gets rid of the drug lord, but he's also blaming the addicted community for their addiction. And basically, Kanigher loved to kind of point out what he perceived as moral weakness. And so, rather than kind of at least addressing the fact that drugs, even in 1971, were a complex and wide-ranging, there are a lot of factors going into that. He always made sure to make sure that there's a little bit of moralizing going on. So A for effort, but nonetheless, serious topics at hand. Okay. I need a drink after that one, honest to God. If you haven't had a chance to read that one, do it. Kanigher is about 50. Tartan is saying, wait, I can do this show. 50-50, okay, cringy. He is. What side of the bed he woke up on, exactly. Or whether he was drinking at lunch or not, I don't know. Because, man, oh man. I read one of his pieces, one of his old stories the other day. And I am going to do a video on it. It's a book that I'm not going to give it away right now, but it's a book that shouldn't have a war story in it, but it does. And so you could tell where Kanigher's interests lie, because I think he, and maybe Tartan, I think most of his interest was in the war comics. So, but I'll do a video on what I'm yapping about, and you'll see it someday. So don't be scared. Pound that mug after reading Kanigher. So later on in Lois's run, this is from 1973. Here's one of the bondage covers. Yay. And this one's interesting. She joins a cult to nab a killer. And I just was telling Lucinda last night at our other cocktail party how much I always enjoy reading about and watching documentaries about cults. And if you all have HBO and you haven't checked out a series they've got going on right now called The Vow, do so, because it's about a cult and how some really well-meaning people fell into a sex trafficking ring. If they needed Lois Lane, is what they needed. Yeah. Cults, yes. So that's 73, and then finally in 1974, Lois's book came to an end. This is the final issue. Kind of the end of the line. There she is on the end of the line, and the A train or whatever it is. And the final story in the final issue of Lois Lane's own book, she is helping an elderly couple stay in their home. So she uses her journalistic powers to do that. So yay, Lois Lane. And then finally, from the Wayback Machine, I had a chance, I reread this a couple days ago. This came out in 1986. Wasn't that Space Dinosaurs Looking for Their Dinosaur Cousins? Yes. Why, yes, Gray Man, yes, it is. It happens. You know, if you lose your cousin, you got to go looking. How did we get through reading these things without, having a beer handy? I don't know. Okay, 1986. This is a 2-book kind of one-shot thing, and it's about missing and exploited children. And it's written by, Mindy Newell. The story is okay, although I can see why it's actually very ham-handed. It's very educational. It's very, here's a message and here's some information, and I'm going to do a data dump on everything that parents and kids should know about missing kids. And, again, at the time, 1986, this was a big deal. The Eton Pates case in New York, Adam, oh gosh, what's his kid? What's his name? Had disappeared, and his father started the Center for Exploited Children. I mean, it was a big deal at the time. And so, but I think it didn't leave me terribly inspired or interested because it's so heavy. It's so on the nose. And Lois Lane throughout this thing is actually kind of unpleasant. I think Mindy Newell's focus was on the issue. Adam Walsh. Thank you, Magic Lasso. That's it. Adam Walsh. Yeah, John Walsh. That's it. So it was this was really a big deal back then. And so Mindy Newell's approach, she really wanted to talk about the missing children stuff. And it seemed a little lazy in terms of using Lois Lane to do it. It's a really admirable thing, but I don't think it's as well done as what I'm going to talk about in just a minute before the spoiling starts about Enemy of the People. So worthwhile, I guess. And there's tons of information about where parents can go. It really is kind of it's more of a pamphlet that also has a comic book story as part of it. But there you go. So a long way to say that Lois Lane has a long history of commenting on and participating in broader societal issues. So, Enemy of the People. Okay. There lies spoiling ahead. So this is your last chance. If you don't want to hear this right now, click out, and after you read the stuff, come on back, and then you can write me and tell me how I'm so incredibly wrong. But here we go. And while I talk about this, I'm just going to show you some covers that I liked of the series. So here's what's going on in Enemy of the People. Lois Lane is investigating corruption associated with immigration policies that bear a striking resemblance to the Trump administration. She's also dealing with a White House press secretary who bears a striking resemblance to how the Trump administration works with journalists. Renee Montoya has been helping her with that investigation. At the same time, Lois Lane then decides to send Renee Montoya on another investigation into a more paranormal realm. I love this cover, by the way. I call it the Addicted to Love cover. It's a variant. It's a variant for the first one. Okay, so here's what's happening. So you've got immigration up top, and you've got this other story down below. And the other story down below is that there is a constantly rebooting multiverse. And sometimes other worlds bleed through. And doppelgangers invade people's personalities on this earth. So in one sense, you could say they're immigrants as well. So these immigrants from other worlds are in terrible mental shape and can easily be manipulated to do the bidding of the corrupt. And, you know, the issue for Lois Lane is, and for Perry White, you know, they have a lot of discussions about this, is that, you know, the world doesn't know this. So should we inform the public that this is occurring? And if we do, it will forever change life as you know it, because you could be, your doppelganger could kind of zip into your psyche. But what the decision ultimately is that yes, they're going to communicate this. They're going to explain this to the world with facts and with truth, so that the response to that can come out of compassion rather than fear. So the point I think writer Greg Rucka is making is that if we operate from journalists need to go seek the truth, and public officials need to work with that truth in order to deal with the issues at hand. And community leaders, if they know the truth, can respond to those who are affected by it in constructive ways. So the story ends with the news coming out, and one of the participants in this tale starting a basically centers to work with the immigrants from the other world to help them not necessarily assimilate, but to acclimate. So I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a lot to think about. And to me, particularly nowadays, by the way, how great is that? I loved that cover too. This is number 8, where the big bad is revealed. And so this is the one that people were hoarding and selling for $30 on eBay. So as the world, grapples with enormous changes and complex problems, this comic book is really advocating a path forward that depends on truth and on facts and on compassion. And that is something that Lois Lane has always embodied to me. And so that's why I give this maxi series a thumbs up. I can totally appreciate what Ranger Sly is talking about as it slides downhill, because I wish it were clearer in certain parts. And also I think because the big bad is the skull-faced assassin. Yeah. And I'm blanking out on the character's Kiss of Death. She's cool. That's really cool. But Kiss of Death is a immigrant who was abused as a result of her immigrating from the world map. So that's what I have to say about Enemy of the People, and why I really appreciated it. And I really thought that although I wish the plot had been tightened up, I loved the art in it. And I really loved the intention behind it. And so I'm just thrilled. This old comic book fan is just was very thrilled to see this series play out and to really think about it. It's something to think about. So the Kiss of Death was cool. She had her moments. And the other thing too, and I mentioned it before, is that the other thing that I think this series did just remarkably is that Superman's barely here. He's not necessary. But it's female characters who drive this entire thing. Lois and Renee for sure. Kiss of Death. And there are other ancillary female characters in here that make hearty contributions to, I think, is ultimately an interesting story. So there you have it. That's what I wanted to yak about. Tim, the comic collector, good to see you, by the way. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, the COVID stuff really stopped things at some point, although after first 4 issues, that seems kind of sad. I wonder, I don't know what the sales were like for it. With the exception of the first appearance of Kiss of Death, my comic shop, when I could go there in person, always had multiple copies of both, so and I haven't heard any other word that they're going to they're thinking of doing some more Lois Lane. I'd love it, because I thought this was successful, but they haven't asked me, and it's a shame. Finding a modern title you can enjoy, tricky. Yeah, for me, seriously. It's hard for me because I don't follow, and even in this series, I think I even would have gotten more of an enjoy out of it because I think there are characters that I know nothing about that appear. Like if I say Jessica Midnight, does that mean something to people? So it didn't to me, but I liked the character. But if I knew if I knew more, I might even love it even more. I don't know. So that's it. That's what I've got. That's all I really wanted to yak about on this little live dive. Unless there are questions, comments, funny stories. You guys are having a great time in the chat, I can tell. Have been indie titles. Yeah, see now that's way. I will tell you though, but it's 30 years old. But when my friend Rob and I did the live dive last time, and he was talking about the Sandman Mystery Theater, I went out and I got some Sandman Mystery Theater. I got the first 2 arcs. Loved it. And I'm waiting for a comic book emporium to send me more of them. And of course I wanted another excuse to drink a beer online. Wouldn't you? Let's see. Werewolf is asking if my wife reads comics. No. She does not. She supports my habit. She's very thrilled that I have this little outlet. And I've mentioned before that she used to work for eBay a few years back, and she worked in the collectibles group. So she was working with comic book sellers. So actually, a lot of what you see around me, my collecting really took off in a big way when she started to work at eBay. And I didn't get a deal on anything, nothing. But it was like, wait a minute, I love this hobby. I've got a little more cash these days, and entree into some people who know what they're talking about. So it really blew up because she. We were thinking of doing a live dive called Meet the Missus, where and she could talk about collectibles. But I don't know. Let me know if you think if you want to see her. We could make it happen. Well, I'll mention it to her. How's that, Gray Man? And I'll see if I can make that happen. In the meantime, future live dives, my friend Rob and I, after our live dive last time, we've got some fun ideas. I'm excited about them. And I think we'll be back within the next couple weeks to talk about Wonder Woman, because the Wonder Woman movie comes out on October 2nd. I don't think the theaters here in Michigan, I don't know if they'll be open yet. And even if they are, boy, oh boy, I'm just not sure that I'm willing to do that yet. But it's not going to stop us from talking about Wonder Woman and how she represents in our collections. Rob does not, Ranger Sly, sadly, I cannot find your friend Rob's channel. He doesn't have one. That's why he is the Sly Masked Devil only appears on this channel. So that's why he's just here. And oh, look, Cinda, no, it's pushed back. Really? Ugh. Magic Lasso, until Magic Lasso has answered the question, if I would just look at the chat. December 25th. Well, all right. We can hold. My friend Rob and I will hold on Wonder Woman. But fear not, we have ideas for other stuff. So, Magic Lasso, just let me ask you, when it comes to a movie theater, are you going to brave a movie theater and go see it? Or what are you going to do? And Ranger Sly, I will mention our friend Rob is really a cybernetic virtual construct. No, he's real. And in fact, he's so real that I got a postcard from my friend Rob yesterday. Magic Lasso will brave COVID for Wonder Woman. I had a feeling you would. I loved the first Wonder Woman movie, Lie, Lie, Lie. Oh, you didn't like it? Oh no. I enjoyed it. But I have misgivings about the second one just because something so fun and magical in the first, it's like they can get better. You'd rarely get Empire Strikes Back. You know what I mean? So, and there's Super Russ. Hello. Thanks for joining us, Russ. You're going to have to go back and see this on the replay because I basically did what I was going to do. So, my friend Rob, we will we'll come up with something else. Be back with you in a couple of weeks to talk about some surprises. So thank you all again for this. I'm just so touched that you're here and joining my little. Yes, it is time for a little top off. And the Wi-Fi hotspot, I can smell it. There's grilling going on down there. So I have to go get dinner now. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. See you later.